Hi, I am Dr. Sai Prasad Reddy. Welcome to this session number 10 of interview questions and FAQs on software testing. Today we are going to cover the topic software risk, risk-based testing, how much testing is enough. About these three topics, first I will cover the content and then we will discuss about interview questions from these topics, and lastly we will discuss multiple choice questions. Now, what are the interview questions for this topic actually? Now see, if you attend the interview for software testing job, then probably they will ask you these type of questions. What is a software risk? What is risk-based testing? How much testing is enough? What is effective testing? What is efficient testing? And if testing time is limited, that is, if the testing time is not enough, that means if the time is not enough to complete the entire testing on the project, then how you will complete testing of the project? So these are the questions, interview questions, probably they will ask you in the interview. Now we will discuss each and every question and the topic. Now, so what is software risk? So this is the definition of the software risk. It's nothing but a likelihood of an unsatisfactory outcome affecting the project or process or product is called software risk. Software risk is a measure of likelihood. What do you mean with the likelihood? Probability. That is, having of an unsatisfactory outcome. So what do you mean with the unsatisfactory outcome? Unsatisfactory outcome is nothing but against to the client requirement. Satisfactory outcome is it's well and good. Unsatisfactory outcome we will not accept. This unsatisfactory outcome may affect the entire project or may affect the entire project process, or it may affect entire the particular product of the software. This is called software risk definition. I repeat, the software risk is a measure of the likelihood. Likelihood is nothing but probability or having a chances of an unsatisfactory outcome which affects the project or process or product. Here project means software project. Process means that the team which follows the process to complete the entire software project. And the product means software product. This is called software risk. Now, see here. Generally, in the majority of the cases, for testing team, they will have a little time to complete the testing. That is, they will not have enough time to complete the entire testing of the project. In the majority of the cases, in the most of the cases, because the testing is the last phase in software development life cycle. That is, requirements, after requirements analysis, after analysis, designing, that means high level designs and low level designs, and then coding and then testing. Again in testing, unit testing, integration testing, system integration testing, user acceptance testing, like this. So this testing phase is the last phase in the software development life cycle. When the project comes to the end for the testing, in the majority of the cases, majority of the projects, they won't have enough time to complete the testing on the project. Then what you are supposed to do? This is the interview question. That means, what is the interview question? See, here, this is the interview question. If testing is limited, if testing time is limited, that is, if testing time is not enough, you are having only little bit of time to complete the testing. In this limited time, how you will complete the testing of the project, entire testing of the project? That is a question, right? So now here, see, this is answer. See here, yeah, testing time will always be limited. In this situation, in this scenario, you have to use the risk to determine what to test first, what to test most, how thoroughly to test each item, and what not to test, at least at this time, what not to test. This you have to assess. This you have to determine. How to determine? By using the risk factor. See, the risk means we have already discussed about the software risk, unsatisfactory outcome, which will show effect on the entire project or entire product, software product or entire software process. So now, if you are having a little time, in interview question they will ask you. In interview they will ask you the question like this. You are not having enough time. Just actually, as per the project schedule, they have assigned 6 months for testing. But now actually they have given only 2 months. Even 6 months itself, it is very difficult to complete entire testing. Instead of 6 months, they have given you 2 months only. In 2 months means it is very difficult to complete the entire testing of the project. Yeah, under this situation, under this scenario, what you will do? You have to determine what to test first, what to test most, and how thoroughly to test each item, and what not to test at this time, for this time only. So this you have to determine. So you have to tell the interview panel member, sir, by using the risk, I will determine what is supposed to be tested first, what is supposed to be tested most, and how thoroughly to test each item, and what not to be tested at this time. Right? So that means you have to, what to test first, what to test most means you are prioritizing the testing. You are prioritizing the testing for each and every requirement, because you are having a limited time. If you are having enough time, you will test entire system. But you are not having enough time. You are having very little bit of time. Then under this situation, you have to tell the panel members, if the time is limited, if there is no enough time for completion of testing, I will go for prioritization of testing. Under this prioritization of testing, I will determine what to test first, what to test most, how thoroughly to test each item, and what not to test at this time. By prioritizing, I will complete the testing, right? So you have to allocate the time available for testing by prioritizing the testing. This is the answer. So these type of questions will be asked for the experienced people as well as sometimes for the freshers also. Now, risk-based testing. What do you mean by risk-based testing? So what do you mean by the risk? Just we have already discussed the definition of the software risk. Unsatisfactory outcome which will affect the software project or the software product or the software process. Now, what is the risk-based testing? What are the points that you have to consider during the risk-based testing? See, test where a failure would be most severe. That means in the software project, some failures will show the most severity on the particular project. You have to test that one. Test where failures would be most visible. So, where you are getting more number of failures on this project, you have to test. Test where failures are most likely. That means in which areas in the project, in which requirements in the project, or which functionalities in the project you are getting, you may get more number of failures. And what is most critical to the customer's business. So that means customer's business means according to their customer requirements, the software vendor has to design and develop the project, and within that project, which is the most critical area for the customer to do the business by using this application, that you have to identify. Areas changed most often. In some projects actually, in some portion of the project, that means in some functionalities, so those functionalities will be changed most oftenly. On that areas, you have to concentrate more because there will be a more risk. That is why these are called risk-based testing. And the areas with most problems in the past history, if you are having the more number of problems, you have to identify those areas. Generally, this point is related to enhancement of the projects. And most complex areas are technically critical areas. That means under risk-based testing, you have to do the testing in the most complex areas and also as well as the areas which are technically critical, right? So these are the points that you have to follow under the risk-based testing, right? So they may ask you in the interview, what do you mean by the risk-based testing? This question, risk-based testing questions, will be asked for the experienced people, those who are having 3 years or more than 3 years of experience. See, for the 3 years of experienced people or for 4 years of experienced people, they won't ask any basics. They will ask only the real-time questions. Right? Like say for example, what do you mean by the risk? In your project, what are the risks that you have faced with respect to testing and with respect to project? And what do you mean by the risk-based testing? Like this, they will ask you the questions. They won't ask you the definitions or they won't ask you for the basics. For the experienced people, those who are having 3 to 4 years of experience. Now, how much testing is enough? That is the most important question. So, even for freshers as well as for experienced people, they will ask you how much testing is enough for the project. You have to say the answer. It depends upon the risk. That is only the answer. It depends upon the risk. What risk? So these are the risks. So how much testing is enough depends on these risks. Risk of missing the important faults. That means fault means nothing but defects. So if the software testing team has missed in finding the important faults, then risk of incurring failure cost. That means incurring means what you are getting failure, acquiring failure cost. You have to consider this risk of releasing untested or under-tested software. What do you mean by the untested? Untested means the software which is not tested before releasing to the client. Under-tested means the project has undergone testing, but that the testing is under-tested, which is not tested properly. That is called under-tested. Under-tested software means the software which is not tested properly, or which is not tested thoroughly, or which is not tested completely is called under-tested software. That means your testing activities on that particular software is not up to level, not up to the level. So these type of softwares are called under-tested software. So obviously untested, if you release the untested software or under-tested software, obviously it will be risk. And risk of credibility and market share. Yes. So risk of losing the credibility. Credibility means what it means? It is called nothing but a reliability and market share. And the risk of over-testing or ineffective testing. So even in the over-testing also there will be a risk, or ineffective testing also there will be a risk. So in the interview they will ask you, I am repeating this question again and again, it's a very important question. Even for the freshers, predominantly this question will be asked for the experienced people, that means who are claiming the 3 to 4 years of experience. The candidates who are claiming 3 to 4 years of experience, they will be asked this question. How much testing is enough for the project? or how much testing is required for the project, right? So it depends upon the risk. What risk? All these 5 risks. You have to explain these points, each and every point. How much testing is enough? In the previous also actually we have discussed how much testing is enough. So that depends upon the risk. Use the risk to determine what to test. First, what to test most, how thoroughly to test each item, and what not to test at this time, at this iteration, at this moment of time, right? So this you have to prepare thoroughly. So for freshers, predominantly for the freshers, they will ask you the question, what do you mean by the effective testing and what do you mean by the efficient testing? What do you mean by effective testing? Most of you people may be using these 2 words, effective testing and efficient testing. Repeatedly you will be using effective testing and efficient testing, effective testing and efficient testing. What do you mean by the effective testing? Effective testing is a testing which is having the probability of finding more number of defects. That means if the testing team finds more number of defects, if the testing team finds more number of bugs, if the testing team finds more number of faults, then it is called effective testing. Right? This is called effective testing. So effective testing is nothing but finding more number of defects or faults or the bugs in the project is called effective testing. Simple. Efficient testing. What do you mean by efficient testing? Efficient testing is nothing but finding more number of faults with less effort. That is the difference between effective testing and efficient. Effective testing means finding more number of faults. Efficient testing means finding more number of faults with less effort. That is called efficient testing. What do you mean by the effort? Here with respect to time and with respect to documentation and with respect to manpower. Right? So these 2 are the important interview questions for the freshers. Effective testing is nothing but finding more number of faults. Efficient testing is nothing but finding more number of faults with less effort. This is called efficient testing. Clear? So please, so here in these questions you have to prepare well for the interview. Why I am repeating again and again means, why I am saying again and again is, it's a very important topic for the interviews. What is software risk? We discussed. What is risk-based testing? We discussed. How much testing is enough? We discussed. What is effective testing? We discussed. What is efficient testing? We discussed. If testing time is limited, that is if you are not having enough time to complete the testing on the project, how we will complete the testing of the project? Or what is your strategy? Or what will be your approach for completing the testing within the time limited? These are the questions, interview questions, very, very important. Very, 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 very important. Right? For freshers as well as for the experienced people. Here experienced people means, so those who are claiming 3 to 4 years of experience. When I was working in the IT industry, I have taken interviews for freshers as well as for the experienced people. Some hundreds of actually for the people I have taken interview. At the time actually we were focusing on this risk factor and how much testing is enough, and if the time is not limited, if the time is limited, that means if we are not having enough time, how we will approach for the testing or how we will complete the testing. Like this, generally they will ask you the question in the interview. Right? Yeah. Now, these are the MCQs, multiple choice questions, which will help you more for getting a command on the subject, and these questions will help you more in the competitive exams. These questions will help you more in clearing the technical screening test. What do you mean with the technical screening test? If you attend the interviews for software testing job, some companies, they will conduct a technical screening test. In this technical screening test, you will have the multiple choice questions. Here I am framing the most important, the most asked multiple choice questions. Right? This will help you more. And these questions also for computer science background students, it will help more for the GATE exam also. Right? Yeah. Now, how much testing is enough? It is never enough. When you have done what you planned, when your customer or user is happy, when you have proved that the system works correctly, and it depends on the risk of your system. Generally, unknowingly, by mistake, the pupil will select option B or option C or option D. It's wrong. When you have done what you planned, that means as per your plan you have done the testing. Is that the testing is enough? No. When your customer or user is happy, the testing is enough? No. The testing, how much testing enough will not depend upon the user happiness or customer happiness. Here happiness will not come into picture at all. When you have proved that the system works correctly, it's 100% wrong, totally wrong, because testing will never say the system works correctly. The testing will never try to prove that the system works correctly, or the testing activity will never proves that the project is working properly. And the software testing process will never say there are no defects in the project. So these are wrong. So how much testing is enough? It depends upon the risk of your system. System is project. It depends upon the risk of your project. Next. In which order should test be run? Most important test first, the most difficult test first to allow maximum time for fixing, the easiest test first, and the order they are thought of. See, this is a critical question. In which order should tests be run? See, for some questions I have given explanation. That means the questions which are demanding the explanation, for those questions only I have incorporated explanation here for your better understanding. By reading this explanation, you can choose these options. Right? So, here what is the explanation? There are some testing challenges. Yeah, in interview also they will ask. It's a very important question. In interview they will ask you, what are the testing challenges? Then you have to say, predominantly there are two testing challenges. Predominantly there are two testing challenges. One, too many combinations of inputs to test and not enough time to test properly. These two are the testing challenges. Predominantly these two are the testing challenges. Too many combinations of inputs to test. There will be some hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of inputs will be there to test. And not enough time to test it properly. These two are the testing challenges. Now see here. So what is the option of this one? The most important test first. That we have already discussed. Right? That means as per the prioritization, you have to do the prioritization of the test. How you have to how you have to prioritize the test? So by giving the, what do you mean by prioritization? Importance. Prioritization is nothing but importance. That means, for example, you are having 100 tests in the project. Example, you are having 100 tests in the project. You have to prioritize these 100 tests. That means, what do you mean by prioritization? Giving importance. Yeah, out of these 100 tests, how many are to be tested first? How many are to be tested next? And how many are tested last? Like this, you have to give the prioritization. Generally, the prioritization levels will be like high, medium or low. So out of 100 tests, say example, if there are 100 tests in the project, out of these 100 tests in the project, 30 tests are high priority. Okay? And next, 60 tests are medium priority. 10 tests are least priority. Now, what to test first? That 30 high priority tests. What to test next? This is 60 medium priority. And what to test last? This is 10 least priority. Priority means giving importance. High means very important test. Medium means medium importance test. Low means least important test. So like this, you have to do the testing. The order. In which order the test will be run means depending upon the prioritization. So in interview they may ask you, so in which order, if you are having some 1000 tests, in which order you will test that project? you will test this application. Then you have to say, I have to test the high priority test first, and then the medium priority test next, and then the last least priority test. So prioritization is very important, right? Yeah. Next, which of the following is not deciding factor in determining the extent of testing required? So that means if the testing time is to be extended, see, what is the question here is, if the testing time is to be extended, for example, they have given 3 times for testing and you have to extend for 1 more month. You need 1 more month to complete the testing. So that is extension of testing. So which factor is not deciding factor for extending of testing? Life cycle model, level of risk, time, budget. Which is not a deciding factor. That is, life cycle model is not the deciding factor for extension of testing. You may be using W model, waterfall model, you may be using V model, you may be using gravity model, or you may be using some other model, or you may be using spiral model, or you may be using agile model. Irrespective of the model will not determine the extension of testing. The extension of testing is majorly depends upon the level of the risk of the project. That means if the more number of risks are present in that particular project, please follow this point carefully. If the more number of risks are present in the project, at that time, your test manager may raise a request to extend the testing time or time of the budget, time of the project. There will be a timelines to deliver the project to the client. So by following the timelines, whether it is possible to extend the testing time or not, it will be decided, and the budget also, project budget also. So it depends upon the project budget also. So the factors that will determine for the extension of testing of that particular project depends upon the level of the risk, time, and the budget. But life cycle model is not a deciding factor in determining the extension of testing. Here the question, not a deciding factor. That's why option A. Next, what if the project is not big enough to justify the extensive testing? Yeah. See, what if the project is not big enough to justify extensive testing? Use risk-based analysis to find out which areas need to be tested. Use automation tool for testing. A and B, none of the above. See, this is nothing but little time, so much to test, and we are having limited time, but we have to do so many testings. And at this time, how you will justify? So use risk to determine what to test first, what to test most, and how thoroughly to. That we have already discussed. So option A is the correct option for this question. Clear? Yeah. Next. What are the 2 major components taken into consideration with risk analysis? Yeah. How you will do the risk analysis? That is the one. The probability of a negative event will occur. The potential loss or impact associated with the event. Both A and B, neither A nor B. Yeah. So option A. That is the probability the negative event will occur. Right? Yeah. The next is, following are some of the testing risks: budget and environment, that means the test environment. Testing risk, these are not the project risk. See, the risks are of 2 types. One is project risk, then second one is testing risk. Project risk means risks which are associated to the project. The testing risk means that risks which are associated with the testing environment, or the risks which are associated with the testing process, or the risks which are associated with the testing strategy, or the testing methodology, or the testing risks are the risks which are associated with the testing team, that is the resources. Resources means even software testing team members also the resources. Right? Now see here now. Following are some of the testing risks. What are the testing risks? Budget risk, test environment. Budget, number of qualified test resources. Budget, number of qualified test resources, test environment. None of the above. So, what are the testing risks? So, option C, that is budget is also. That means because the budget is also supposed to be support, right? Testing budget. So, budget also. And next is number of qualified test resources. That means how many number of qualified test engineers are present in the project. And how the capacity of this software test engineers in the project. Right? How thoroughly they are having a knowledge on a particular domain to test that particular project efficiently and effectively. Right? And then the test environment. Please keep it in mind. In interview they ask you, you have to concentrate more and you have to understand what type of risk they are asking. Whether they are asking project risk or they are asking testing risk. Testing risk means the risks which are associated with the testing environment, the risks which are associated with the testing budget, the risks which are associated with the testing resources, that means software test engineers efficiency, right? And their skill set. These are all testing risks. These type of interview questions they will ask you, and these are all the MCQs that you will get, multiple choice questions that you will get in the competitive exams as well as the technical screening. It's all competitive exams. It may be ISTQB exam or it may be any certification testing exam, right? So please subscribe my channel and share my video sessions to all the students groups, those who are searching for the job in the IT industry, and also please like my sessions. And please don't hesitate to raise your comments in the comment box. Right? Yeah. Thank you.